Now we will hear from Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger from Georgia. I think many of you may know of him already. He is someone who has worked on this issue much longer than anyone else I know. Years ago, when he was a state legislator, put a measure in to make this the law in Georgia, continues to work on it, and has been a huge help to this movement all over the country. Brad.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The reason why I'm here today is because I've long believed, long before I was Secretary of State, probably somewhere when I was around 10 years old, but somewhere along the line, I just realized how precious it was to be an American citizen. And as I looked at some of our state laws, I realized that we need in Georgia a constitutional amendment to make sure only American citizens vote in our elections. But I believe it doesn't just start at the top of the ticket. I think it starts at every single office holder, from the school board to county commission, city council, state house, state senate. I believe no matter where you're elected in Georgia or anywhere in the rest of the country, that it should require that you are an American citizen. I believe that America is the greatest country in the world. And I believe that we are a nation for good. I love America, and I love American citizenship. I love what we stand for. I'm proud of our founders and their wisdom. I think about Washington, Jefferson, Madison. And I think we honor them when we make sure that only American citizens could vote. I think also about anyone that has ever served in the military, that actually wore the uniform and then took it out in battle. And then some who never came home, who lost their life, dying, fighting for our freedom. And I think that commitment that they had for our nation, we honor that when we do two things. When we vote in our elections, and when we make sure only American citizens are voting in those elections. I think that great nation should never devalue two things: our currency and American citizenship. I believe that we are the gold standard. I don't think there's any other country in the world that allows non-citizens to vote. But frankly, I don't care what the rest of the world does. America is the gold standard. We set the model, we lead, and only American citizens should be voting in our elections. And if you just think about this, I heard a great analogy, but here's another one, because I think most common sense Americans can kind of help noodle through this idea. Because a lot of times people, there'll be naysayers about this non-citizen, voting. But I think that voting is more important than being on a jury pool. And I think being on a jury pool is very important. You have to be an American citizen to be on a jury anywhere in America. Doesn't it not make sense that a more precious right, the right to vote, should require American citizens only to be able to exercise that right to vote? So I believe that no matter where you're elected, from president, school board, county commissioner, that we should require only Americans to vote in our elections. And then you think about right now with the open border policy that we've had in place for several years now. Voters are concerned about non-citizen voting. Well, I can give you great news about in Georgia. Because we partner with our Department of Driver Services, we have robust citizenship verification. And so before people go on the voter rolls, Department of Driver Services, who actually registers about 99% of new voters or when they renew their driver's license, is going to do a robust citizenship verification. And yet we've been sued already in Georgia by two groups. Stacey, Abrams group, Fair Fight. Fair Fight Action sued us in federal court. We met them and we beat them in a court of law. Then we were sued by the Georgia Coalition for the People's Agenda. So same thing, and they wanted to stop us from doing citizenship verification. We met them in a court of law and we did prevail. We think that sets great legal precedent for anyone in the country that wants to do citizenship verification the way Georgia does. We think it makes sure that only American citizens are on the voter rolls, so only American citizens are voting in our elections. So we think that's really important, and that's why I'm here today, because I think it's very important that only American citizens ever vote in our elections here in America. Thank you very much.
Next, I want to introduce Julian Bradley, state senator from Wisconsin, who led the charge to put question 1 on this